there's a neat feature in Photoshop called a clipping mask, and it lets us put two objects, like one object into another object. It's pretty neat. What we're going to need is two photos for this. So go ahead and open up both images for the lesson. I'm going to copy this photo. So select all and then copy. So we've copied the photo with the house in it. I'm going to go back over to the photo, the window, and I want to paste it into this window. But I need to make a selection first because I don't want it to go over the whole window. So we can take our rectangular marquee tool here, and if I use my space bar, I can move it around as I'm clicking and dragging. And I'm just going to make a quick selection over one part of the window. I can do the same thing if I hold down the Shift key. See how the plus icon appears there? And I can add to the selection by dragging it over onto this side. And then I'm going to be really lazy and just use the quick selection tool and see if I can grab the last part, which works great. So now I've got this selection. Before I can paste my image into it, I need to put this onto its own layer. So I'm going to hit Command J on the Mac or Control J on the PC, which is kind of like it takes whatever I had selected and it punches it onto its own layer. So take a look. That's before. And then this is what it looks like with the layer on top of it. All right, so it's the same thing. We just took the original white area, we put it onto its own layer. So now that's all that appears on that layer. The next thing I'm going to do is paste our photo inside of here. So at this point, it doesn't appear as if this photo is inside the window. But if I go up to the layer menu and I go down to create clipping mask, watch what happens. See what happened there? So Photoshop took this photo and it put it inside of the window. How did it do that? Well, that's what a clipping mask does. It clips whatever's on the top photo to be in the shape of whatever's on the layer right underneath it. I say top photo, the top layer. Whatever graphics are on this layer, it clips it to be in the shape of whatever's underneath it. You can even see that little arrow icon. See it? See how it kind of is indented there and it points downward? That's Photoshop's way of telling you it's being clipped to the photo or to the layer that's underneath it. So it's going to appear inside the shape. And it's cool because now I can take my move tool and I can move this around and I can make it fit the way that I want to without having to worry about moving the shape that's under because it's already being clipped to that shape automatically. If you ever want to get it out of there, just go under the layer menu and choose Release Clipping Mask, and it's back to normal. Those of you that are into keyboard shortcuts, you can hold down the Option key on Mac or Alt on PC. And if you notice, see when I hold down Option or Alt, see how if I move my cursor in the middle of the two layers there, see how it changes to those two little circles? If I click, it creates the clipping mask for me. So that's just a little keyboard shortcut to achieve the same thing. Now, we can take this concept even further. Remember this image here. Remember how we had the gentleman, this was back in lesson 1 and 2, where we put these two images together. Well, one of the things I said is, what about if we want to turn the gentleman with the glasses into a black and white? The permanent way would be under Image Adjustments, but I want to do it the permanent way. I used a black and white adjustment layer. The problem is the black and white adjustment layer affects the entire image, both layers that are below it. So you can use the same concept here. Go under the layer menu down to create clipping mask, and now I've clipped the black and white adjustment layer to only show up in the layer that was directly below it, which is the gentleman with the glasses on. Okay? So pretty neat stuff when you consider that it's allowing us to be very focused in our changes with our layers. So you can use it photographically in something like this, or you can use it for graphics when it comes to an image like this. You can even combine the two. Another good example. Let's go to our adjustments panel, add a levels adjustment layer here, and I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. And bring our blacks in, and this is just going to add a little bit more color and punch to the image. Let's close the adjustments panel, and now you can see not only did I add a levels adjustment layer to the photo, but look at what it did to the window. See how the window and the frame is basically gone. I almost turned it all white. Same concept. You can clip a clipping layer. So I've got this layer on top, go under the layer menu, create clipping mask, and now it's just going to be clipped to whatever layer's right below it, which is the photo of the house. See before and then after, but it's not affecting the window frame at all. Okay? And there's one last example. I'm just going to create a new document, It can be any size if you want to follow along, but you don't even have to follow along. And the main thing here is to just show you, if you've ever seen this effect, let's take a very thick font here, Arial Black, and I'm just going to create text. All right. Move that text into the center of the document. I'm going to paste a photo on top of it. Remember, I still have the other one copied from here. So I'm going to paste a photo on top of it. And then I'm going to go to the layer menu and create a clipping mask. See what it does? It puts the photo into the text. So if you've ever seen that effect where you see some photo inside a text, that's how they get that effect inside of Photoshop. The main thing to remember here in the end is whatever the photo, because this confuses me a lot sometimes, and I used to get confused by it. I used to get confused about what needs to be on top. Should the text be on top or should the photo be on top? Think of it this way. Whatever you want to see needs to be on top. Whatever shape you want that object to be in needs to be the one that's on the bottom, what you clip it to. So whatever you want to see, which in this case is the photo, it needs to be on top. I want to clip it to the shape below it. Photoshop doesn't care what that shape is. It doesn't care if it's text. It doesn't care if it's a shape layer, an object, pixels, a photo. It doesn't care. It's just going to take whatever the layer is on top and it's going to make it fit into whatever the layer that you've clipped it to below.